We're going to be looking at Venn diagrams involving frequencies. So to begin with, we'll take a look at this example and look at how we input all of the information from this paragraph into a Venn diagram. So as we've seen earlier, we now know how to draw a Venn diagram. We understand some of the notation. This means we're looking at all the items within the set, all the items we're interested in. C is the circle that represents all the items within the set C. D will be everything within set D. F will be everything within FD, within set F. You could get items which are in both D and C that would be represented in this area here. Items would be which would fall in both C and F will go into there. Items which go into both sets D and F will go into here. Items which fall in D and F but not C will go here, and so forth. So we understand that. Let's take a look at the question. Now with these, a little hint to solving Venn diagram question is try and always start from the middle, meaning this bit here, the part that belongs to all three sets, and then try and work outwards. So then working out this, this, that, and then working out the final bits where you can. It's a good trick to solving these problems. So let's go and take a look at the first line here. A vet surveys 100 of her clients. So that means what we've got here is 100 clients. So all the numbers within our Venn diagram should add up to 100. Now, one of the things to notice here is when we are drawing Venn diagrams involving frequencies and not the items itself, then the number of items is represented by that number that we write. Okay, so this is slightly different to what we were looking at in the earlier video where we were looking at elements within a set. So here we're not looking at elements within the set, we're looking at how many or the frequency of items within an element, within a set. Okay, so that's the difference with Venn diagrams involving frequency. So in this large rectangle, which is talking about the whole thing, the 100 clients, all the numbers within the large rectangle should add up to 100. Let's go and see what it says. 25 own dogs, 15 own 25 own dogs, 15 own dogs and cats, 11 own dogs and tropical fish, 53 own cats, 10 own cats and tropical fish, 7 own dogs, cats and tropical fish. Now this one's an interesting one because it's where 7 own dogs, cats and tropical fish. So they belong to 3 sets, that one, and 40 own tropical fish. We'll use the letters D for dog, C for cat, and F for fish. C for cat, D for dog, and F for fish to represent each of those sets. And we're going to then find out how many dogs, how many cats, how many fish, etc. They will be the numbers that we write inside. So as we said, we're going to start off with the number in the middle. The number in the middle is where how many people own cats, dogs and fish, and it's this bit here that we underlined here. I'll get rid of everything else and I'll just box that bit that I'm referring to. 7 own dogs, cats and tropical fish. So that number 7 should go inside right in the middle. Okay, so our first job is going to be to complete the Venn diagram, after which we can then worry about answering the question. So always tackle Venn diagram questions in this way. So we've answered the first bit. We can tick that part of the sentence off. We're starting from the middle and we're working outwards. So I can just put a little kind of shading through it to indicate I've done that bit. I'm going to look at some other areas here. So remember, I want to work out these areas, work out from the middle, work outwards. This area here represents the people who like cats and dogs, but not fish. Do we have anything like that? Well, let's have a look. So we're looking for 25 own dogs, no. 15 own dogs and cats. Now that's an interesting one here. We can work with this here because it talks about 2 things. So it talks about 15 owning dogs and cats. So first of all, understand which area this represents. So this area will be here, dogs and cats. But dogs and cats is the whole thing here. It doesn't say they own dogs and cats only. It says they own dogs and cats. So this whole thing must be 15. But if the whole thing must be 15, we already have 7 in here. Therefore, this bit left over must be 15. Oops. It must be, this area must be 15. Take away the 7 that we already have in the middle. Okay, so sorry. So this was 7, and so if we know that 15 own dogs and cats, this whole area must be 15, because it doesn't say they just own dogs and cats, it says they own dogs and cats, so the whole area is representing 15. Therefore, this little bit here must be 15, take away the 7, 8. So then 15 do own dogs and cats, as we expect there. Dogs and cats is this whole area, of which we know 7 own all 3, dogs, cats and tropical fish, and 8 now we know only own dogs and cats. Okay, because the word only wasn't mentioned here, it means 15 own dogs and cats is representing that whole thing. That whole thing must be 15. So that's how we need to look out for that word only, which is a very key word here. So we've done that now. Let's tick that off. Let's go and look at another part which has kind of 2 things. So maybe we look at this question mark here, and then we look at that question mark. So let's look for something that has that. So it says here 11 own dogs and tropical fish. So again, this is another word that contains referring to 2 sets. So 11 own dogs and tropical fish. So there's dogs and there's tropical fish. So it's referring to this area here. It's referring to the whole area. It's not just referring to this question mark area, because this area would be rephrased differently. It would say 11, if they said 11 own dogs and tropical fish only, then we can write 11 in there straight away. So that area that I've shown would be 11 own dogs and fish only. That word only. But in the question, it doesn't mention the word only. Therefore, the question area here is referring to what? It's referring to the whole thing. The whole thing must be 11. And since we already have 7 in the middle that own all 3 cats, dogs and fish, to get to 11 there must be 4 more here. So there's 4 here. Okay, so be very careful about that piece of information. If it has the word only, it's referring to just this area here. If it doesn't have the word only, so it's referring to 11, it refers to the whole thing there. Okay, so we've done that. Let me just shade that in. Done. Let's get rid of that. Let's look at another thing here. We've got this area here where we're talking about cats and fish. So let's try and find something with those 2 sets being mentioned. 10 own cats and tropical fish there. Again, it doesn't have the word only, meaning that this whole area here must be 10. So if that whole area must be 10, we already got 7 in the middle, so this bit here must then be 3. 7 and 3 makes the 10. Let's shade that in. We've covered that. Now we can look at the other bits that we haven't done. 25 own dogs. Now again, it doesn't say 25 own dogs only, because if it said dogs only, it would just be this bit here. And then we would be able to take that 25 and we would be simply able to put it there. But it doesn't have the word only, which means that 25 own dogs represents which area? Not this area. It represents everything inside the circle or the set dogs. So there are 25 is the frequency of the set dogs. So everything in here, 8, 7, 4, and this number must add up to 25. 8 add 7, 15, add 4, 19, so we have 6 left over to make the 25. Okay, so that whole thing adds up to 25. We can shade that. We've completed that. Moving on to the next one. What else have we got left? We've got 53 own cats. Again, it doesn't use the word only, so that means everything inside here must add up to 53. We already have 8 and 7, which make 15. 15 add 3, which make 18. And we want to get to 53. So 53, take away 18, we have 35 remaining there. So the total of everything inside here must add up to 53. Everything inside here must add up to 53, which it does. And that's how we worked out 35. Let's shade that in. We've completed that. One more bit left here. 40 own tropical fish. Again, the word only is not mentioned. So tropical fish is here. So all of that would be adding up to 40. If it had the word only, then we would be referring to this area, and then we could actually go and put, we could actually go and then put just 40 in here. But because the word only is missing, it's referring to that whole area again. So 7 add 3 is 10, 10 add 4 is 14, 40 that we have there, 40, take away this 14, will leave us with the remaining, which is 26. Now, we need to see if there is anyone who does not, any clients that does not have a cat, a dog or a fish, i.e. having neither, i.e. being outside this area here. How can we check that? Well, we know that the vet surveyed 100 clients in total. So do all of these numbers add up to 100? If not, what's left over will go here. So we can add them all up and they add up to 89, therefore 11 left over. So 11 goes outside. Okay. So now that we've completed the Venn diagram, we are now at a stage where we are ready to answer the question. Can you see the word only being mentioned that we were referring to? There it is. So what's this asking? Well, how do you read this? It says P, referring to probability. Probability of someone owning a dog only, owns a dog only. So dog, D, we're looking at that circle, but dog only means we're only looking at this section here. So that's 6 people own dogs only. So since the question is asking for a probability, we need to write it as a fraction. So it would be 6 out of a total of 100, which we've got there. Okay. Then it says probability that does not own tropical fish. So first of all, look at where tropical fish is. So here's tropical fish. And does not own tropical fish mean everything outside it. So we're then looking at this, 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 as well as that, because they are all the people who do not own a tropical fish. So we add them all up. 35, add 11, that's 46. Add 8, which is 54. Add 6, which is 60. And 60 over the total, 60 over 100 is our answer. There. And then lastly, probability that they does not own dogs, cats, or tropical fish. So not owning either of those. So that's obviously referring to this 11. So it would be 11 out of a total of 100. It's the last one. So that's how we then use the Venn diagram to answer questions on probability.